Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for a conversation about our work in Gaza and the realities behind it. I'm Tunda Wackman, Chief Development Officer at World Central Kitchen. I'm so grateful to be here with you, and thank you so much for your pre-submitted questions. We have woven them into our conversation today, and if there's time at the end, I promise that we'll try to answer some more if time permits. Today, we are joined by two very accomplished and dedicated leaders within the World Central Kitchen community with deep expertise and decades of experience. They are both deeply immersed in this response. Please help me welcome Wada Hubaishi, our response director in the Middle East, and Nasser Wadi, who leads our supply chain operations. They are both navigating the realities behind the scenes, making real-time decisions that determine whether meals reach people when they are needed most. Wadar and Nasser, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us live from Amman, Jordan. It's your evening, and we're extra grateful for you both being with us. When people hear 1 million meals a day, it can sound like a milestone or a headline. But on the ground in Gaza, it isn't a number. It's people cooking in the middle of uncertainty. It's partners adapting hour by hour. It's supply routes that shift overnight and families who don't know what tomorrow will bring, but still need to eat today. This conversation isn't about celebrating scale for us. It's about understanding what it takes to reach and sustain that level of support, why this moment remains so fragile, and what it means to keep showing up day after day when the conditions continue to change. So to kick us off, we want to ground you and have a video from the field to show you just a glimpse of the conditions there.
1 million.
Reach 1 million.
Inshallah, yeah.
So it looks like a big number, but we can do it. Take a look why.
Yes.
So this is Palestinian, feeding Palestinian. And that's the way it's done. Palestinians helping Palestinians.
يمكننا نعطيه مليون وجبة في غزة.
نحن بحاجة إلى مليون وجبة يوميا في غزة.
نحن بحاجة لمواد كافية لإنتاج وجبات غذائية.
نحن بحاجة لتدفق مستمر من المساعدات.
نحن بحاجة إلى ممر إنساني لتدفق المساعدات إلى مطابخنا.
احنا بنقدر نطبخ مليون وجبة في اليوم.
Help us cook 1 million meals in Gaza.
1 million meals.
1 million meals.
1 million meals.
بدنا دعمكم مستمر لنكمل المشوار مليون وجبة.
Wada, I'll start with you. When people hear that World Central Kitchen is reaching 1 million hot meals a day, it can sound like a milestone that signals progress or even stability. But for teams working inside this response, whom you just saw in this video, it feels very different. From your perspective, what do people most misunderstand about what 1 million meals per day actually means on the ground right now?
Thank you, Tunde. My name is Wadda Habishi, Response Director. The 1 million meal basically represent our standing with Gaza since the beginning of this conflict, where World Central Kitchen has been there to help Gazans. They were fine before the war, they'll be fine tomorrow, but today they are in need of us. 1 million is just not a random number. Each meal has a name written on it, a mouth that it feeds, a person, a human being who doesn't have a kitchen to cook in, who doesn't have fuel to cook food with, who doesn't have money or a market to go and buy food for them. We're talking about millions of people who have been displaced and further displaced again, only to go back to homes that have vanished and to go into tents full of rainwater. During that time, we stand by the people of Gaza and we present them the food they need. This is not a threshold. This is just response at scale, just as Gaza needs as this time. And the million meal, it is behind that number stands many decisions by the hour, a number of trucks that get by, and decisions that has to be made hour by hour. Everything has to be negotiated in order to reach that, in order to deliver the food to inside Gaza to people who need it.
Yeah, thank you, Wada. You touched on a very important point here. Reaching this scale doesn't mean the work becomes easier. In many ways, it means the system becomes more fragile, more complex, and more exposed to risk. And also, hunger doesn't end when a ceasefire begins. In fact, I think this phase can be some of the most uncertain Markets are disrupted or destroyed, infrastructure is damaged, and families are returning to places without kitchens, as you mentioned, and fuel or reliable access to food. So I want to talk about why this moment is not a finish line and what it actually takes to sustain 1 million meals in a day in Gaza right now. Nasser, I want to start with you. From a supply chain perspective, can you tell us what the hardest part of sustaining this scale is, and that people outside of Gaza rarely see? Is the amount of supplies entering Gaza sufficient, for example?
Thank you, Tunda. My name is Nasser Wadi. I'm the supply chain manager. Reaching the 1 million isn't the hard part here. The hard part is sustaining the 1 million meal. In a brief, like every week, we need around 120 to 150 trucks entering Gaza. In total, every month, we'll need around 500 trucks. For example, I'm going to give you every day we want to cook, we need 80 tons of rice, 80 tons of protein. That's equal to almost 40 trucks. So sustaining the 1 million meal, sustaining the supplies going in, this is the hardest part in order to reach the 1 million on daily basis.
Thank you. And can you expand and give us some examples, one or two, of these decisions that you have to make hour by hour?
Yes.
I know there are quite a few that you can mention, so over to you.
Yes, of course. Actually, we're buying and procuring, delivering from all routes we can. I'm going to give a couple of examples. A couple of weeks ago, we bought 20 trucks of fresh fruits and vegetables from Egypt. Like last minute, we were informed that these trucks can't make it to Gaza. So the team took a fast decision. We managed to move back these trucks to factories in Egypt, and we converted the vegetables to frozen, the fruits to fresh juice canned, and something that's durable to be delivered again inside Gaza. This is one of the examples. Another example I can share with you, early in 2025, when there was the closure, we used to have around 15 trucks of frozen protein in Egypt. As you know, it can only sustain for 6 months. So the team took a fast decision in order to convert these frozen to canned protein. It can sustain up to 1 year in these canned protein. And I believe other organizations followed our footsteps, and they started doing the same thing, increasing the protein access to Gaza.
Amazing. You are just the embodiment of WCK and innovation and thinking on your feet. Talk to us a little more about the supply chain and the complexities. You mentioned that there's access. Where is the food sourced from, and how does it get to Gaza?
Actually, we are trying to expand our vendor database on daily basis from all corridors that we are able to procure and move trucks, for example, but not limited to Egypt, Jordan. And another success story to mention is a good collaboration with the Cyprus authorities. On a monthly basis, we are receiving around 100 to 150 in-kind donation from Cyprus containing flour, pasta, baby formula, everything that people on ground need. And it's one of the most successful routes that we are having at the moment now. So we are expanding our vendor database. We are looking for new vendors from all routes in order to keep everything moving smoothly, to assure that on daily basis we are able to cook 1 million meals.
Amazing. And without building on that, how does the uncertainty shape the way that you lead the overall response? What changes when you move from scaling up to simply trying to hold the line every day?
Adding to what Nasser mentioned, just to give you an idea about the scale of our operation, every day we use about 1,300 kilograms of spices alone. If my math is right, that's around 2,000 pounds a day. We have 6 large capacity field kitchen, in addition to about 60 community kitchens whom we partner with, spread around all of Gaza. We help giving them ingredients so they cook. We exemplify Palestinian feeding Palestinians. We derive our existence from the local community acceptance. We hire locally. All of our 1,500 staff inside of Gaza are all Palestinians, and all of our partners, we are helping them stand on their feet by sponsoring, for example, bakeries to be able to do their work. It takes tremendous effort and multiple corridors to maintain that capacity, and any kind of problem that has happened in any corridor can put us seriously behind, weeks time. The moving of the people because of the ceasefire, people have been relocated. That makes it complicated to predict the demand where people stand. That's why we always keep a close pulse, not only to produce that million, but to sustain it, and furthermore to be able to give it in the most isolated areas in Gaza where the people can enjoy it. We prioritize, hospitals, children's spaces, people who they can enjoy with their family a hot meal, especially during this time of winter where it's cold.
Oh, wow. That is a complex web of logistics to keep everything going. Can you tell us a little more about that maintenance under pressure?
The reality of the situation now, Tunda, is that anything that goes inside Gaza require tremendous negotiation with the Israeli authorities. Not everything is allowed. Anything beyond a simple aluminum sheet requires massive negotiation that could, be fruitful or could fail and be rejected after weeks of negotiation. We depend on an amazing maintenance team that has a lot of ingenuity in utilizing, rehabilitating every kind of equipment to ensure that we continue to keep cooking. Just a couple of weeks ago, during the heart of the winter inside of Gaza, when it was raining, a lot of our kitchens have sustained damages. The maintenance team were fixing it while we were cooking at the same time. And what did we cook? We cook a hot and warm soup in order to be, when the community speaks, we listen and we answer. We give them that during that time to give them sort of warmth, not only, metaphorical, but also physical. The maintenance team continues to do that, requires all the difficulties. I want to give an idea. One of the schools approached us and they wanted us to, because everything in the market is scarce, so they wanted furniture for their school. The children were studying on the floor. So what we did, we took all the leftover pallets that come from our shipments from Egypt and we refabricated them into tables and chairs, and we have given it to this school. So that means not only are the children in that school are fed by World Central Kitchen, but now they can continue studying not on the floor, but on these chairs. This is also another example that the community speaks, we listen, and we always answer.
Wow, goosebumps. So this isn't just about growth, it's about holding a fragile system together in conditions where everything around us is shifting, and what it means to keep showing up when stability doesn't exist, above and beyond of just meals. Sometimes it's in the form of furniture. So I think what you're conveying here, that it's that this operation isn't built on fixed plans. It's built on constant recalculation of risks, of access, of resources and time. And in order to fully understand what it takes to sustain 1 million meals a day, you have to look beyond the numbers and look into the decisions being made every hour. Walk us through one decision that your team has to make every day that shows how fragile this system really is. Nasser, I'll start with you.
Okay, so in a brief, we usually bake 210 to 300K loaves a day. So usually we buy or we get in-kind donation from Cyprus for flour. The last shipment got delayed due to weather conditions. So the team, as mentioned, is always expanding the vendor database. We always have plan A, B in place. So because we have a good database of vendors, the team placed several trucks orders from different corridors, assuring that the flour will make it to the border on time, so the production of bread will sustain and keep going as usual. Another good example to mention is we managed to get the approvals to ship frozen protein to Gaza. Sometimes, the frozen protein is very fragile and it takes a lot of process logistics. So we have a plan A and B menu. What does that mean? Plan A is for the frozen protein. Plan B, the chef always is prepared to cook the canned protein. So we are always assuring there is always enough stock from the canned protein, just in case for the trucks, if it didn't make it for the frozen protein, the chef automatically shifts to plan B to cook the canned vegetables and the canned protein in order to assure that everything is running smoothly all the way.
Amazing. This is just an example of how at WCK we plan to adapt. So you have a plan in place that will constantly shift and you pivot around it. So adapting is our plan to this dilemma if things are uncertain. Now, how does increasing demand affect the way that you plan and deliver meals when resources remain limited and conditions are uncertain?
Tunda, we operate in a limited or scarce resources environment. Let's just give you an example. I have enough fuel per day to make a decision whether I should produce more bread or use that fuel to bring more meals to further down, to more isolated communities. This is the decision we have to go through every day. But also we need to do prioritization. As of today, we feed 70 hospitals and medical centers. That includes the doctors, the nurses, the medical staff, and the patients. In addition to that, we feed around 60,000 children in schools and learning spaces. What we found out is that if we bring food to the school, then the parents are more likely to send their children to go and study. And this is basically a double benefit for us. There's nothing that makes us happier than having a student trying to live what a normal life is amidst this kind of horrible war, and to have a meal that encourages them to come to school. So every day we do that. We operate in an environment where we've talked about scale, but we're not only about scale. Nasser mentioned food with smiles. This is fruits and vegetables that we always try to do. Let me give you a story that happened to our teams, and to this day still remind us why we have to do this. A 3 years old, a 3 to 4 years old child had a banana, and after eating it, he asked his father, "Dad, can I eat the peels?" To you and I, as adults, 2 years of war is nothing in our life, but to a child who started to understand and start talking, when he was 1 or 2 years and now becoming 4, he has not seen a banana in his life. It takes a tremendous toll on the lives of these children. That's why we always try to prioritize them. Not only children at school age, we also have baby formula to give to people, to children who are malnutrition, who are at that stage at early in their life that needs to be fed. This is what we are about. I want to say the working environment in Gaza has also been increasingly difficult to the fact a lot of actors, 30 plus organizations, risk being exited from Gaza because of deregistration that has happened to them right now. That increases the pressure on World Central Kitchen, but more importantly, increases the responsibility on our backs to be able to show up and continue to make people not notice that disruption. This is the environment we are in, but our commitment to Gaza continues despite all of these challenges.
Wow. As a mother, wow, that is deeply touching and just so appreciated. Thank you for doing everything that you are able to do on the ground under such incredibly hard circumstances. And with Ramadan around the corner, can you share more about the efforts underway to serve the community as people observe this holy month?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll start with you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, the team is always being proactive. I would like to highlight that we have already managed to move around 20,000 food parcel Ramadan kits to Gaza, and there is more in the pipeline. Why we are doing this? To assure by the time Ramadan starts, there is not just only hot meals, there is the food parcels in order to expand the food delivered to the people who are in need. It contains a lot of stuff that's enough for a family of 5 people can cook twice a day for 15 days. And there is more in the pipeline. We'll keep pushing more and more. So Ramadan is a holy month for people in Gaza. We'll keep just moving these food parcels, and we'll keep pushing more for the hot meals ingredients just to upscale to the 1 million and sustain the 1 million on daily basis.
Do you have anything to add?
Yes, Tunda. The month of Ramadan is a holy month that is celebrated here in the region, not because of its religious significance only, but because it's a month that has a holiness that adds comfort to the people. And during the month of Ramadan, we try to add a sense of normalcy to chaotic life of Gazans by giving them, some resemblance, a slice of resemblance to times of peace, where they get all the essentials of Ramadan there. And our Ramadan campaign has been truly, popular very much because of the quality and the variety of the items. But Ramadan is not the only religious ceremony we celebrate. Many people don't know that Gaza has a minority of Christians whom we helped also celebrate Christmas by introducing, Christmas kits to the Christian minority inside of Gaza to help them, celebrate this occasion. 2 weeks ago, I was in Egypt, and I was very surprised to meet a Gazan who just emerged out. She's Christian, and she was telling me how happy she was that her family inside of Gaza has received that. This to us fills our heart with joy, because even if we try to make one day feel normal, 1 week feel normal to people amidst the craziness of their life, this is something that keeps us going and encourages us to keep the work we do.
Wow, I think it just the joy on the faces and the smiles just conveys all of the emotions that this sweet family is feeling as they're unpacking their Christmas box. And I think this just speaks to our just the essence of our work. Not only do we feed people, but we feed people with that dignity, but also in a culturally appropriate way. And yes, even inside Gaza, that means that we cater not only to the majority of the population who are Muslim, but also the minority population of Christians, because they are also trying to observe a very special time in unspeakable circumstances that are just so hard for us to comprehend if we're not there. And as we think about Ramadan, one thing that we keep coming back to is just how food sits at the center of that dignity, of that care, that community. For World Central Kitchen, this season reinforces a simple belief that food is a human right in Gaza and everywhere in the world. But in Gaza particularly, hunger is a daily reality, not symbolic. And these kits give families something essential, certainly in the form of food they can count on throughout the month. So it's that certainty that they don't have very much on. I think that is probably one of the scarcest resources, is certainty. And I just want to take a pause here. We've received some questions around wondering how donations actually, or if donations will actually feed the people of Gaza. And my answer to that is a resounding yes. It's very simple. Yes, we are able to restrict donations to our efforts in Gaza that you have seen in our videos and that you are hearing about from Nasser and Wada. And I also want to mention that WCK is Zakat certified, which is very rare for a Western organization. It's a great honor, and that means that we're not only able to accept restricted gifts that go toward our work in Gaza, but those restricted gifts are even more restricted to just food specifically. So I just wanted to call that out and answer that question very directly and openly. And then as we're discussing, behind every meal delivered in Gaza, there's a team making difficult decisions under uncertainty every single hour. Wada, from your perspective, where do you feel that pressure most acutely today?
There's multiple aspects of that pressure that we feel today, Tunda. Despite the fact that we are now in a ceasefire that has been holding somewhat, the targeting has never stopped. You have green and red areas, which are really difficult to distinguish once you are on the ground. You can easily get into a red area without realizing putting your life under jeopardy. Everything has to be negotiated. We try to bring desalination machines to make drinking water for people. Those are denied. We try to bring solar panels to ensure that we have more power. Those are denied. So the restriction in terms of importation is making us resolve to menus that are not out of selection, but sometimes out of necessity. That is the biggest challenge. The other one is the complete security risks that are involved with any kind of movement. We continue to coordinate every movement. That takes tremendous time in order to ensure the safety and the safety of our team. Those things, and also the working environment that is shrinking to the INGO sector, are all composing the level of risk that we have to go through these days. This has not stopped us from the past because we still continue to prove and will not to stop us going in the future.
Thank you. And Nasser, from a supply chain perspective, what part of the system feels most vulnerable right now to you?
Actually, there are several parts I would like to highlight. I have been in the supply chain field for 16 years. I have never seen such a complex environment in supply chain. We are always doing our best, but you know what? The team on ground, the team behind the scenes, they are always thinking out of the box just to assure everything is running smoothly all over. I'm gonna give a couple of examples like the fuel. The fuel on daily basis, we need to consume from 4,000 to 5,000 liters a day of diesel to sustain the generators running, to the box trucks to keep distributing the pallets to the kitchens. This is one of the major bottlenecks that we are facing now. The team have activated the emergency plan twice so far in order to sustain and keep everything moving, the kitchens cooking on daily basis without any interruption. Another thing I would like to highlight is like building up on what Wadah mentioned, we have managed to build 10 mega warehouses inside Gaza that can hold up to 12,000 pallets in order to keep stock, just in case anything's happened, just in case there's delays, because it's not like a regular supply chain. We buy from A to Z and it's delivered within this timeline. No, it's not. It's like we have always to think out of the box, always finding alternatives, always keeping stock just in case. And this is one of the most complex things that we are facing, the fuel and the restrictions that we on ground to deliver from A to Z.
Oh, and one of the questions, and this is to both of you, that we often get is to describe a day in Gaza. So from a logistics perspective, perhaps you can share your insights, Nasser, and perhaps Wada, you can talk more holistically about perhaps someone in the kitchen. What does their day-to-day look like?
Actually, this happened today. The chef needed to cook the cauliflower today, and because it arrived late and it needs process 2 to 3 hours, the chef need to shift the menu in the last minute. So the team adapted really quickly, shifted the menu. And when we say shifting the menu, it's not like shifting a menu for something to be cooked in a house kitchen. It's cooking for 1 million. So you can imagine shifting the menu. What does it mean? It means like, okay, a new plan in place, a new delivers in place. Within a couple of hours, everything is delivered, and the chefs continue to cooking everything smoothly.
Yeah, and I want to add, the day today would start yesterday because we will start by ensuring that we have everything, starting the prep work for today in terms of availability of materials, everything that we need. Does the chef have all the ingredients for tomorrow? Do we have a person name or a person address for every single meal that we produce to ensure that the food has no waste and it goes to the people who need it? Do we have the list of the hospitals, their numbers? And everything. So we start planning earlier, and supply chain start planning weeks before that.
Amazing. And we also get a lot of questions around our mobile bakery. Could you expand on that? Just share the origin story, what it took to get them into Gaza, how they operate, and just where do they operate? Making sure that we keep safety in mind as well. But anything that you can share and enlighten us further on those.
The mobile bakery was an initiative under direction of His Majesty, the King of Jordan. It started last year, where he has ordered the donation of one mobile bakery to World Central Kitchen. We brought it inside Gaza after lengthy negotiation. That is state-of-the-art machine that is able to move around and be able to produce food at bread at 3,000 loaves per hour. So every day it makes about 70,000 loaves of bread. It is very valuable to us. That's why we don't keep it. We kept it moving only to safeguard it from being targeted. This year, we also managed to get 2 more. And in 3 in total, we are able to produce more than 210,000 loaves of bread, freshly baked, delivered directly to the people who eat them hours or even sometimes minutes after they leave our kitchen. But that's not the total number of breads. Also, we support external bakeries to help them hire local Palestinians to make another 200,000 loaves of bread. So in total, we've reached around 400,000 loaves of bread that are distributed every day in Gaza.
Amazing. And as we know, bread is such a special food in Gaza and in the region. So it plays such a central role in people's daily lives and in the culture and in their nutrition. So having these mobile bakeries is just a godsend. Can you share more about, and this is a question for each of you, if you can highlight maybe a favorite story or a favorite challenge or obstacle, and favorite is the wrong word here, but just a challenge and obstacle you have overcome and are really proud of.
Go ahead, Nasser.
Thank you. Actually, yes. In the past 6 months, the team managed to move more than 450,000 baby formula cans. And when we did the calculation, it's more than 4 million meals for the babies. Another thing to mention is the fresh fruits. You can't imagine the thousands of smiles when we always bring in new fruits, such as but not limited to avocado. And today, the team managed to offload watermelon. It's not about just feeding the people, it's about feeding the people with dignity. It's about drawing the smiles on their face. It's about doing whatever we can do on ground in order to keep them happy, having the decent food. And I would like to highlight on something really important. We're not just procuring any kind of food. It's like we're procuring the top-notch quality for everything, assuring that when meals are cooked, when fruits are delivered, it's something that can really draw a wonderful smile on the people who are in need on ground.
Amazing.
For me, I believe in Palestinians feeding Palestinians. What I am tremendously inspired and proud by how resilient the Gazan people are in terms of our staff who managed to overcome all the challenges. This is my 20th work anniversary, and I've worked in other contexts. This is the most challenging. My staff reports to me that, work is the least troublesome part of their life because they have to handle other things that are, more stressful than work. And that could give you an idea. So to them, they have always continued to show up. And this fills me with immense level of, being proud and levels of pride in having them as colleagues. And the people of Gaza are amazing people, and they continue to be resilient despite all these challenges that would make anybody else, lose it. But they're still holding on, and we must be always available to them.
Yeah, it's that story of resilience, that resounding through line from everyone that we have the pleasure of meeting from Gaza. It's just incredible what they're able to accomplish under such stressful circumstances. And yes, from everyone that I've had an opportunity to talk with, that through line is that they look forward to going to work because that gives them that sense of purpose and that ability to control something and to have an impact in their communities and to feed their neighbors. That is so special. We also get a lot of questions around clean water and the access to it. Can you talk a little bit about our desalination efforts?
Yeah. So Gaza, as you know, it's near the sea. It's on the sea. A lot of water has high level of salinity. It's not very drinkable. What we use to cook, in order to cook, we desalinate the water and use that water to cook with. There was a time last year when the borders closed for several months and we basically depleted everything, all the food that we have, no more ingredients to cook with. And then came the idea, if we don't have food, we will give bread. If we don't have food or bread, at least we will give water. So we use the desalination machine. We repurpose them to make water, fill them into tanks and driving them into Gaza. And we have reached a level where we can do 100,000 liters per day. And the rest was history. That continued to be an own program, standalone program that has continued. We produce potable water to people of Gaza with high degree of clarity for them to be able. Not only is food a problem in Gaza, health is a problem, water is a problem. We as a food and water actor, we try to do our best and we're proud. We just need to keep negotiating to bring more of these desalination machines from outside Gaza to inside Gaza so that we continue to serve the people any way we can.
Amazing. And can you talk a little bit more about that supply chain? I know it's coming from a lot of different directions. We get so many questions around about how do you, when a border closes, how do you pivot so immediately to, making sure that that plan B or C or D gets executed?
Okay, actually, this is why we are always expanding our vendor database from all over the world. And this is why we are always looking and placing orders just in case there is a need. When there is a need, like in a brief, our main corridor now, it's Egypt to ship and move items. Sometimes trucks are not able to offload at the border. So immediately we shift to the other fastest corridor in order to keep everything moving. When we procure anything, for an example, from Egypt, it goes into several security checks until it reach KS border. It's being offloaded there. Then our team sends the ops team and the logistics team inside Gaza sends trucks from local logistics companies. We load on the trucks, then we move it through Gaza until it reach our warehouses. We have several warehouses in Gaza, in the middle, in the south, and in the north. The reason why we have this variety in the warehouses in order to assure that all supplies arrives on time to all the warehouses, to assure that everything's ready on time. So yes, we're procuring from all corridors, as I mentioned, from Cyprus, we are getting in-kind donation. From Jordan, we're procuring. From Egypt, from Europe. It's not limited to that. Anywhere we can buy anything. Like for example, we managed to even buy protein bars and ship it from UAE directly to Gaza. It's like anything we can buy to help and support the people on ground. We are always willing to knock on all the doors, looking for any new idea, out of the box idea, just to keep everything moving.
Amazing. What any thoughts from you? Anything else to add?
No, I think that covers it all. I think this activation, since it started, we have always adjusted. We believe in diversifying our sources. We try to get the most value effective. But if a border closes, we have other ways so that we continue. Our commitment is always to continue cooking and continue making delicious hot food for people who deserve it.
It's amazing. Thank you both for such incredible insight into our work. And my personal question to you both is the difficulties and the circumstances are so complex in Gaza. What brings you hope that you can share with us?
For me, I wanted to say that we are here today to help the people of Gaza during a time of need. I feel that if we do our job to a child who's growing up, a parent who lost their spouse, if we did that, then we have done good. And in time, things will improve and we'll be happy. They will be back to their normal lives. But for as long as that takes, we are there. And this gives us satisfaction that we are stood by people who needed us the most.
I totally agree with everything Waddah mentioned. And for me, seeing the smiles on their face when they eat or see the baby formula cans or the fresh fruits, it just gives me and the team more and more power to do the impossible, to keep everything moving, to keep everything running, just to keep these smiles on their faces because we can deliver, we can do that. And we will always be able to do that with the support from all over the world.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you both so much. I think what we've learned is when the world's attention shifts, the needs on the ground certainly don't. And that's the reality that this team is working inside every single day. Wadan, Nasser, thank you so much for sharing what this work really looks like, not just in theory, but in practice. We've learned so much today, and one of my biggest learnings is that serving 1 million meals a day is not a finish line. It's a system that has to be rebuilt and sustained every single day, often under conditions that change without warning. So when global attention shifts, hunger certainly does not. The work continues, sometimes a lot of times quietly, but urgently and daily. And as Ramadan approaches, which you've heard all about, the needs on the ground will intensify, not only in scale, but also in meaning. Families will be trying to observe a sacred time amid disruption, scarcity, and deep uncertainty. For our teams, that means adapting again under pressure and again with limited resources and no margin for delay. So Ramadan is about generosity, responsibility, and showing up for others. And we hope that you'll continue standing with families in Gaza. If you'd like to learn more, we invite you to be part of this work as part of the World Central Kitchen's community. Your support helps make this work possible, especially in moments like this, when showing up is hardest and most necessary. Thank you for being with us today and for fueling this work. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nasser.
Thank you.
And Wada.
Thank you.